Welcome to the Folktale Project. This is Dan Schulz. This week, I'm actually in New England, and as such, I figured we'd bring some tales from the region, and that means we're looking at Charles Skinner once more. This first story, as many Skinner stories are in New England in North America, is a mystery. It doesn't really resolve with anything, but it does give us one heck of a story. This is the Forest Smithy. Early in this century, a man named Ainsley appeared at Holyoke, Massachusetts, and set up a forge in a wood at the edge of the village, with a 2-room cottage to live in. A Yankee peddler once put up at his place for shelter from a storm, and as the rain increased with every hour he begged to remain in the house overnight, promising to pay for his accommodation in the morning. The blacksmith, who seemed a mild, considerate man, said that he was willing, but as the rooms were small, it would be well to refer the matter to his wife. As the peddler entered the house, the wife, a weary-looking woman with white hair, seated herself at once in a thickly cushioned armchair, and, as if loath to leave it, told the peddler that if he would put up with simple fare and a narrow berth, he was welcome. After a candle had been lighted, the three sat together for some time, talking of crops and trade, when there came a rush of hoofs, and a hard-looking man, who dismounted at the door, entered without knocking. The blacksmith turned pale, and the wife's face expressed sore anxiety. "What brings you here?" asked the smith. "I must pass the night here," answered the man. "But, stranger, I can't accommodate you. We have but one spare room, and that has been taken by the man who is sitting there." "Then give me a bite to eat." "Get the stranger something," said the woman to her husband, without rising. "Are you lame, that you don't get it yourself?" The woman paused, then said, "Husband, you are tired. Sit here, and I will wait on the stranger." The blacksmith took the chair, when the stranger again blustered. "It would be courtesy to offer me that chair, tired as I am. Perhaps you don't know that I am an officer of the law." When supper was ready, they took their places, the woman drawing up the armchair for her own use, but, as was the custom, they all knelt to say grace, and while their faces were buried in their hands, the candle was blown out. The stranger jumped up and began walking around the room. When a light could be found, he had gone, and the cushion had disappeared from the chair. "Oh, after all these years!" wailed the woman, and falling on her knees, she sobbed like a child, while her husband in vain tried to comfort her. The peddler, who had already gone to bed, but who had seen a part of this puzzling drama through the open door, knew not what to do. But, feeling some concern for the safety of his own possessions, he drew his pack into bed with him, and, being tired, fell asleep with the sobs of the woman sounding in his ears. When he awoke, it was broad day, and the earth was fresh and bright from its bath. After dressing, he passed into the other room, finding the table still set, the chair before it without its cushion, the fire out, and nobody in or about the house. The smithy was deserted, and to his call there was no response but the chattering of jays in the trees. So, shouldering his pack, he resumed his journey. He opened his pack at a farmhouse to repair a clock, when he discovered that his watches were gone, and immediately lodged a complaint with the sheriff, but nothing was ever seen again of Ainsley, his wife, or the rough stranger. Who was the thief? What was in the cushion? And what brought that stranger to the house? And that is Charles Skinner's The Forest Smithy. And again, we have a story that really is a mystery, an open-ended mystery, that hints at some nefarious doings by both the rough stranger, the smith, and his wife. This is Dan Scholes for the Folktale Project. Don't forget that you can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, Overcast, anywhere you'd like to get your podcasts. You can follow us on Twitter at Folktale Project. You can find us on Auto Radio, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify, anywhere you like to listen. And you can always head over to folktaleproject.com, where you'll find a new story waiting for you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. As always, thank you so much for listening.